motion. Happy birthday, though. I take a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved. To approve.
Is there a second? Dick. Motion by Jim and a second by Dick to approve the agenda. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Next is the council workshop report. Held council workshop on February 25th, 2013. Members present were Lukensmeyer, Hageback, Davies, Prowley, Harms, and Eckhart. Also present was myself, City Manager Ron Dunn, and Public Works Director Doug Tarr. I offered time for public comment. Kevin Prowley of rural Hampton clarified some questions regarding his willingness to accept all the city's brush and wood at his rural property. He stated that he had been working with Doug and appreciated Doug's efforts in the process. He also stated that he and Doug would discuss accepting the commercial tree service wood that needs to be disposed of. Ron summarized the details of the upcoming renewal discussions of the agreement between the city and the Hampton Chamber for hotel-motel tax management. Brooke Mimler then offered some history and ideas the Chamber were considering, suggesting as possible changes in the renewal, such as a perpetual agreement, a scaled-down agreement similar to the county agreement, and if a new ballot proposal is considered, he suggested increasing the tax collected from 5% to 7% or 8%, depending on code limitations. Council brought up questions regarding budgetary items such as hotel-motel funds going towards chamber management fees, fund reserves, and the target area for grants. It was suggested by Councilman Eckhart that the council research what other communities are doing for management of their hotel-motel tax revenues. He provided information on the Iowa Falls Volunteer Committee as an example. Council and Chamber will continue researching the matter and will discuss at a future meeting. I gave an update of negotiations with county supervisors for a dispatching service agreement. The proposal is being reviewed by the city and county attorneys, and I'm hopeful that an agreement will be ready for council consideration in March. I then offered additional public comment. Ted Goldberg inquired if the peeling epoxy on the van shell is a warranty item. Dunt explained that the contractor is aware of the issue and has agreed to redo the epoxy coating on the pyramid supports at no additional cost. The work will likely be completed in the spring of 2013 as weather permits, and the meeting concluded at 6:29 p.m. Okay, with that, I'll offer public comment at this time. Is there anybody wishing to address the council? Okay. Next on the agenda is old business. We have consideration of the tabled vicious animal complaint dog owned by Terrell Verrilman and Starla Mayfield at 318 4th Avenue Southwest. And I'll call on Chief Schaefer at this time.
Thank you, Mayor. As I passed out earlier are the pictures that I had taken. The highlighted one is the one that I took today. What that is showing is basically the concrete that they had put on the inside of the dog kennel, which was, I think, probably like saccrete type concrete that was dumped around the inside of the fence. There was snow on the ground, so basically the only place that I could actually get a good picture of was there in the corner. Other than that, the structure remains the same. It appears that it remains the same as what it did the first time that I spoke with the council. I do believe that the family that lost the rabbits are also here tonight if you had any questions for them.
Okay. Any questions of the chief at this time? Okay. Okay. Well, then at this time I think I'd offer any either party time to comment if you'd like to.
Go ahead.
I just want to thank you guys for giving us an opportunity to do this, and I got the kennel up, and I've had another family issue the last couple weeks I don't want to bring up here, but it's been extremely strenuous on our family. So as he said, he thought that maybe the wire holding it to the house could be a little bit bigger, and also the saccrete around the bottom could be done a little bit better. I admit that, I know the dog's not going to be in there very much. The ground's frozen right now, peeing in and out. These are going to be stuff that I'm going to take care of. Just hoping that I can get the dog back. I gave Darshan, I reimbursed her for the rabbits. She asked me if I could take a cage out for her. I'm working on doing that, and also I haven't got the Ardell to ask those people for the cage yet, but I'm also working on doing that. So I have been working with her. We've been neighborly through the whole issue, and I just want to say that I'm hoping that everything's good enough for you guys to let us have our dog back. So, thank you. That's all I have to say.
really don't know what to add to that. We are working it out neighborly, and he's doing his best.
Okay.
As long as the dog doesn't come back on the property, we're okay with it being back.
Okay.
Darshan, can I just ask, I mean, how, do you feel threatened by the dog?
I'm not afraid of any kind of dog, so me personally, no. I mean, I'm bigger than a dog, so I'm not scared of dogs. So I don't see it.
Darshan, you
Try
and
to
I,
walk away.
Stay there, Darshan.
you and I had a conversation after that first council meeting where you expressed to me that I got a little different impression from you than I did from Tyrell as far as the dog being loose quite often. Could you-
Yeah, she has been, or he, the dog, has been loose, come over in the garden quite a few times. He's really just being a dog. It wouldn't have been a big issue, except for this was my son's 4-H project. And he worked for the money for those rabbits, he worked for the cages. I mean, it was his, he felt like he failed the rabbits. He felt like it was his job to protect them, keep them fed, warmed, and living, and he felt like he failed because the dog came over. The dog was being pretty much a dog. I mean, it does happen, and I have dogs. I've had dogs, my own dogs kill my own kids as rabbits, so it does happen. It just, that was that night with him crying and he's upset, and it just got overwhelming, and I just had to have help.
Thanks.
Now can I walk away?
Okay, so the question before the council is whether or not this dog is vicious or not. So, any other discussion or comment at this time?
I guess I'd go back to what I said at the meeting. I still, in my mind, I still think I view the dog as being vicious, in as much as that the police officers felt enough that they were threatened. But if the parties involved are okay with that, I mean, I guess I have to agree to disagree, but I respect their opinions, even though I view it differently. So I guess it's, you know, had she come to the podium and said that, you know, that they're threatened, I guess I would feel differently. I still think the dog is vicious, but
Okay.
our police officers seem fit to draw their weapons nearly. Just, you know, they were confronted or were about to that point, and according to the statement, the dog has been loose a lot. And I think anybody's denying that, but I think that we have to take the word of our police officers too.
Okay.
One thing I'd like to add is, Tyrell, I agree, you know, when you get a chance, I would make it stronger, you know, holding up to the house, but I, you know, whether I can completely understand. I went and met the dog. The dog is young, and I usually can befriend any dog, and she is shy, and I can see why she reacted the way she did with the officers. I mean, she reacted that way with me, and most dogs don't. But I talked to the vet, and I did talk to the gals that worked out there, and they've said they had no problems with her, and that she was a good dog. I would just, you know, being a dog owner too, just...
Absolutely. I want no more further problems more than any of you guys in here. I don't, you know, it's, we love that dog, so...
I understand.
Thank you.
My concern, Tyrell, is with the quality of the pen that's there. I think there are a lot more things that you could do to make it safer. And I'd be very leery of having a dog come back until the pen is constructed properly.
All right. Well, if there's nothing else, we need to entertain a motion whether or not to declare the dog vicious. Somebody willing to make a motion?
I move to declare the dog vicious.
Okay, we have a motion by Craig to declare the dog vicious. Do I have a second? Is there a second? Is there a motion to declare the dog not vicious? Gotta make a decision.
I'll declare the dog not vicious.
Okay. So we've got two motions. Which one is going to be seconded? A motion by Craig to declare the dog vicious, and a motion by Val to declare the dog non-vicious.
I would second the motion to declare the dog non-vicious, but with stipulations about the pen. And I don't know the proper way to do that. I don't think we can at this point.
I don't think that's within our authority.
So I guess I can't second that motion.
Okay.
I'll second Val's motion.
Okay. Okay, so we have a motion by Val and a second by Jim to declare the dog in question as non-vicious with the incident documented as first report as an unprovoked attack on record. Is that correct? Any further discussion?
Just want to add, Tyrell, the pen, I mean, I'm backing you here.
I know it.
And also, I would look at, you know, getting some training for the dog. She, you know, she's
We contacted
timid.
them up in Mason City, so when we get her back, that's definitely, we talked to the dog whisperer up there, and we got prices and stuff like that, so we will do that.
I will promise, Dick, you know that we have the means to concrete and do all that stuff. Denny will help him get that fence so that dog cannot get out of that fence.
And I was going to recommend the person in Mason, so I just highly recommend you do that.
Absolutely, we will.
And I would add again that I'd like to see that done before the dog comes back to town.
We'll do that anyway, because yeah, if that's concerned, even if you say we can have our dog back now, we'll get it more secured before the dog comes back, because we don't want her out. We don't want any of this to ever happen again. So we're with you on that.
Okay. You finish up with the cleanup, helping your neighbors out.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So to restate where we sit then, we had a motion by Craig to declare the dog vicious, failed for lack of a second. Now we have a motion by Val and a second by Jim to declare the dog in question as non-vicious. Had discussion. Go forward with the vote here. Lukensmeyer?
Aye.
Crawley?
Aye.
Hogaback?
Aye.
Arms is absent. Eckhart?
Nay.
Davies?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Next item on the agenda under new business is consideration of approval of Franklin County Tourism Board members. And I believe Brooke is here.
From our meeting the other night, I had a couple council people want more answers to more questions and those type of things. So I put together a packet trying to include everything, but then I remembered that some of the questions about the chamber and what we do and how we do it, I thought I'd bring what Brown and I did today, even though we aren't done, is I thought I'd pass these out, which table tents. Yeah, they're all the same. If you pass those out, I've got a whole nother thing of them there. If anybody in the crowd wants them to take home, put on your kitchen table, watch what's going on. Here's another packet, kind of a complete packet. Those can be passed out. We also sent the electronic version to the press, so they can have that. Thanks. I want to go through the review of the 2012 year. From the comments from Monday nights, we've been working very hard with the Central Iowa Tourism and Vogelbacher. She has come down at least a minimum of one time a year. When I took this position, I didn't understand tourism, so I reached out to her and said, explain to me what I'm supposed to do from tourism and where do we compare to other people and how should it work. So she wrote this letter today. She thought it'd be better she couldn't be here tonight, but she welcomes the opportunity to come down, talk to the council, talk to anybody who'd like to. I'll read the letter. Dear community members, this letter is in reference to Hampton, Franklin County tourism efforts. As the director of the Central Iowa Tourism Region, I have the opportunity to work with communities and organizations throughout the 35 county area, including Hampton and Franklin County. Just for everyone's edification, we're in the Central Iowa. It's basically, there's 3 areas in Iowa. These are state paid positions. we're in central, primarily the 35 corridor. So she says 35 counties. That does include Polk, Cerro Gordo, just kind of goes up in North Story County. So we've got a pretty good populace here. I've met with the Hampton-Franklin County Tourism Committee for a number of years and attend their planning sessions. This dedicated group takes their responsibility very seriously and carefully considers what programs have the potential to increase tourism. The manner in which tourism efforts are organized in Hampton-Franklin County allows your community to plan for the future because of the continuity of professional services available through the Chamber. The management fee of $8,000, which is determined by the Tourism Committee on an annual basis, provides services for a very reasonable amount. Services including staff, administrative office, coordinating programs, plus handling of visitor inquiries and leave fulfillment is provided in a professional and cost-effective manner. They are also a good financial steward by maintaining a reserve balance. A reserve protects future programs should an interruption in hotel-motel tax collection occur. We've seen examples on a national basis of communities that did not have this foresight and were significantly impacted when taxes could not be generated due to natural or other disasters at properties in their community. Lastly, I want to mention I frequently use examples of the programs from your community, county, as successful stories with others in the central region. Hampton and Franklin County has leveled the playing field with communities much larger in size through cutting-edge efforts to reach travel, writers, bloggers, and reviewers and the leaders within the tourism industry. Please feel free to contact me in any questions. We took a very strong stance when I took in the position of what is tourism and how do we get behind it and push it harder. It's nothing better than to have rotating and buy local programs locally, but to have other people bring their dollars into our community. We see that on our board reviews this almost every year to encourage our motto or mission statement to encourage tourism in the Franklin County area through the promotion of the area as a destination for day and overnight visitors. The second part, and I kind of tried to lay this out by pages. Page 3 is the tourism recap, which you've seen. I don't want to read these things. We'll be here all night. It does give you your financials for the last year. So the recap of 2012 also has the board recommendations for 2013. You've got the 2011 Franklin County Tourism Recap. You've got the 2010 highlights. One of the interesting things on page 11, we've been trying to figure out, some communities count license plates on events to see how many are coming in from the county. We started this 3 years ago as having the specialty shops in order to get funding to give us their sales. So this is the fall and holiday open houses. We didn't include the spring and fall open or spring and holiday or the Holly Dazzle features because they weren't consistent. Because 1 year we didn't fund them, so we didn't make them have to give it to us. So we only included the numbers we had to kind of give you a trend analysis for the fall open houses and the holiday open houses. You will see, as far as effectiveness, 38% were 2010 in the fall open houses. We've increased it to 53% from outside of Franklin County. In the holiday open houses, we only had 32% of the purchases came from outside Franklin County. And in 2012, we had 50% coming out. So I think that's a nice trend. Of course, the purchases themselves, you see kind of some ups and downs there. We always want to continue the purchases. You also have the grants, kind of what we did. I do want to point out that it's not just the tourism board that's involved. It is all of our committees. We have Nicole Polk here, who's in charge of our promotion committee as part of the chamber. We had a meeting this morning at 7:30, a meeting of 7 people, all talking about what is our campaign for this coming year. We want continuity among all of the things we're doing in our community. And we're planning a very nice program going out, a new promo, kind of not replacing our toilet paper campaign, but to move towards it. And you know, these are not tourism committees. This is a whole other committee of the chamber involved, staff involved, and those type of things. A design committee has done a phenomenal job of continuing to meet with our downtown and facade grants. They even went so far to ask for a grant for all of the county, for all the county communities to get facade grants too. We're waiting for the Community Foundation to find out if we've got that. We want to continue to raise the bar for our whole community, not just Hampton, because we are the greater Franklin County. But as anyone can tell you, Hampton will rise when all the tides of greater Franklin County rise. So with that consideration, we come to you with, according to our bylaws, not only the review and the questions that you may have, we've also got our executive committee here, which consists of Cindy Mullenbeck, who's the treasurer, and Donna Sporkading, who's the vice president, but also the past president. Brody Bertram is our president. He couldn't make it here tonight because he's down setting up for the Des Moines Deer Festival, or whatever the Deer Classic, which, you know, that's the kind of stuff we're promoting that we don't even know we're promoting. And helping out, he's taking my van. The tourism van's going to be using my van, but, you know, it's all of us together raising tourism to a whole nother level. And in order to do that, it does take coordination and staff. I'll address some of the other things when we talk about the discussion regarding hotel-motel tax. So I just wanted to talk to the first topic first, and then we can go into the B with discussing the agreements. And I don't know if other people want to talk now or wait till the agreements or any other questions you might have. But according to our bylaws, we do need you to authorize our new board.
I just make one comment of a figure that you just pointed out to us, if I can get back to it here. Quite an impressive increase in purchases during the holiday open houses from 2010, 1,400 up to 3,200. That's drawing people in.
But, you know, of course, numbers, and I think Karen Mitchell's always told me on numbers and trying to spot check and be careful with when you start playing numbers, which is always a concern I have. We just happen to have these numbers. Of course, we always question, are they really good at getting the numbers? And I know they're getting better at it, so every year they miss the first year, but the second year they drop. So we always question how good they're getting, because they're doing it manually. This is not an electronic fashion, and but it is impressive. And we are, I mean, our Holly Dazzle, for the people involved, Diane Prowley's on that committee, Jim's been on that committee. It keeps getting bigger and better. I mean, everything about it continues to grow. So it is impressive.
Okay. Anything else from or, yeah, go ahead.
Do you want us
Come
to
up.
speak now, or do you want us to wait?
If you'd like to come up now, you're certainly more than welcome to.
I guess I would like to say something. I think most of you know who I am. I'm Donna Sporkading, and as Brooke said, I was the president, and now I'm vice president. But I'm also the owner of Country Heritage Bed and Breakfast, and that is located in Franklin County, if you did not know that. And so I give the customers that we have, our visitors, give the hotel motel tax, and it goes to the county and to tourism. And I kind of wrote a little bit, and it's, you know, tourism is a passion of mine. I got into being the owner of the bed and breakfast because my husband's ancestors built it. It was a bed and breakfast. It just seemed a natural segue. My family has been raised here. My daughter is actually running the bed and breakfast. It is definitely a family affair, and so it just really kind of makes tourism very important to me. I think Franklin County and Hampton, I grew up here, has an awesome place to live, and it's a place to bring people to this fair city, and you guys should be very proud of what you have done here. But I'm going to give you a little bit what I look at, and so here goes. This isn't my forte, guys, so I had to write it down. Anyway, as I said, I am the owner of Country Heritage Bed and Breakfast, which is located in Franklin County, and we collect hotel-motel tax from our guests that the county and tourism receive. Our tourism board is made up of volunteers from all parts of the county and the city. We don't try to get it so it's all city people. I mean, we do a very good job of getting people involved in this tourism board through all out the county. This is one way of making sure that the county and the city is well represented. All of the people on the board have many duties besides volunteering. We can't do it without the help of the chamber, and what we give them for $8,000, I'm sorry, but they go above and beyond, and so they deserve that. Because us volunteers, we all have other jobs. I mean, I work at Hampton State Bank, I own a country bed and breakfast, we volunteer. And it takes a lot to promote and to get the word out that we want people to come to Franklin County to see what we have to offer. We couldn't do it. It would take a lot more volunteers. You would not believe just what we try to do. And I think one of the best things that we have been able to do is to give the grants back to our small businesses. I'm a small business. It is really hard out there to promote ourselves, to get people to see, hey, there's a bed and breakfast, and I love to look at it. I want to go try it out. Everybody has a niche. Hampton has two hotels, because the one set north is in the county, correct? Right. Yeah. 2 hotels that bring in a lot of people, and a lot of people stay. And last year, I think if you would ask both of them, they were full all summer. Probably from April all the way through October. You want to know how I know that? Because when they're full, my business does excellent. Because hopefully I get the overflow. But it takes everybody as a partnership, because if they don't tell people to check out the bed and breakfast, and they leave me empty, and they send them to Owl Falls, to Mason City, where are your hotel motel tax going? It's not staying here. So it's very important that we look at this as an opportunity to bring people, and it's those visitors that are paying the hotel motel tax. It's not our community, it's not the people that live here, it is the visitors. And if you, and I firmly believe that if you want visitors to keep coming back here, we have to show them how we're using their dollars. Can the dollars, I mean, are they going to appreciate, and I know it's important to have good streets or different things, but are they going to look at that? No, they want to see what takes you to other places. You want to see different things that are being done. You want to enjoy, have an experience, whether that's going to the Arts Council, whether that's going to the Bandshell Park in the summertime. You know, it's just amazing the people that we have come and stay with us, and it's kind of across the board, and we have had people stay from all over the United States. We've had them from New York, we've had them from California, and it's so much fun listening to them. And when they stop and they stay with us, it's just a lot, you know, I try to ask, what brings you to here? Sometimes it's family. One couple, they were just driving by going from New York to California, and they saw our bed and breakfast and decided to see if they could stay the night. It's those types of things, and it's Hampton and what you guys have done to show them by redoing the Bandshell Park, the Windsor Theater, the courthouse, all of those things is what gets people to come and want to come back again and again. The specialty shops, you can see what the specialty shops have done. And so $8,000 and having the chamber help us get to there, and to, you know, I think one of the greatest things that we did 2 years ago, and I was kind of helped with that, and that was the Highway 3 garage sale. I still think that has a lot of potential and it can keep going. But it takes work and it takes volunteers, and since everybody's so busy, if we can pay $8,000 to the chamber to help us, then that's what we need to do. The other thing is, when people are traveling, and if they're not sure about the area, and they're not sure where to go, but they want to stop and see the sites and are historical, we have to have a place for them to be able to go to get that information. Otherwise they won't stop. The chamber does that. So that's where the $8,000 is going. It's going to help us to help those visitors that I really think that you want to be here, because it helps our small businesses, and if the visitors aren't here, your hotels are not going to be full, and the small businesses are not going to be here. So that's where I'm coming from, and I appreciate you listening to them. As I said, tourism is a passion of mine, so I kind of get on a soapbox. So thanks for listening. Any questions? Okay.
Thank you, Dennis. Okay. So the agenda item we're dealing with then is approving the board members, the tourism board. Do we have any questions or comment on that specific item at this time? Entertain a motion then.
I make a motion that we approve the tourism board members for 2013 as they're listed.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Got a motion by Dick and a second by Diane to approve the board members as listed. Any further discussion? Okay. I would add that we do have a council member that is listed on the board, so just want to point that out. If there's any voting decision that needs to be made, you can make that decision.
And who's that, Sean?
Mr. Davies?
Okay.
Just want to point that out. Okay. All right. If there's no discussion, I'll call for the vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Okay, now we have discussion regarding hotel motel tax distribution agreement, and I think we've had a lot of discussion on that already, but I think Brooke probably has more.
Sorry.
That's okay.
I'll point to the agenda that to just kind of go through it. Starting on page number 12, you'll see the resolution, which you should have had in your packet before. I put it out Monday night. And then the agreement itself. Then what I wanted to do is kind of show you the Franklin County Tourism bylaws, which I don't know if you've seen. I don't know how many in the community have even seen it. It's on page 17 of the packet. You'll find that there's a lot of the same information in that agreement is in my bylaws. I've tried to find out exactly the timing of how everything played, and I don't think there was a bylaws, so they put the bylaws in the agreement before you all ratified it, and then they took the bylaws and put it in the tourism bylaws. So that's why I'm saying there's a lot of duplicity in your agreement in my bylaws. And we have updated the bylaws, but we haven't updated the agreement. And there's a couple other things that need to be changed in my next board meeting, which thank you for bringing this up. We voted a couple years ago to go to a calendar year over a physical year, and I needed to update that in our bylaws because we are running on a calendar year, so they have been changed. That's the only substantial change that's been made since I guess the last time it was changed, which is 2008. So I just want to point that out that, you know, in updating the agreement that will expire June 30th, I point to you the county's agreement, which is from page 20, and then their resolution, which is almost, you know, they voted both city and county. It's almost the exact same wording that the city people and the county people voted for this hotel motel tax. The county just kind of cut, and I think because the bylaws and those type of things were in the city contract, it just made it cleaner because we really can't change anything on the 60-40 split unless we go to the people. So it's, you know, it's kind of like we can negotiate all day long over this new agreement, but anything substantial or changing that 60-40 split has to go to the public. One of the things that came up in some of the questions Monday night was the Iowa Falls Hotel Motel tax, which is on page 24. I called Jody Davis, who's the city manager, and it was an interesting call. Not only is he the city manager, but he was the former councilman and also the former tourism board person. And he gave me a lot of clarifications, because if you just download the form and don't ask questions, a lot of things on the internet are like that. You can assume a lot of things, but you can't assume they're right. Their last page of 50% of the revenues derived from the promotion and encouragement of tourism and convention business, and 50% goes to economic development purposes in the city of Iowa. Jody, who was involved in this resolution, was very concerned because the city benefits in no means from that hotel motel tax. They put it in a separate fund, and you come in and ask for grants to get it out. And you can either declare it economic development, or you can declare it tourism, or a combination thereof. The city derives no benefit whatsoever. Matter of fact, he pointed out that it becomes bad because there's no consolidated marketing between the boat club and the Riverbend Rally and some the different groups come in and fill out these grants, and there's no consolidated branding of the community. And he said numerous times, not as well branded as you people up there in Hampton, which was nice to hear. The other part that he kept saying was, we get no benefit. It's a real pain. The board is a pain because they're on it, but they don't know tourism because it's appointed by the city. And he just kept coming back to, wow, we wish we had Franklin County's resolutions. So within that, I asked other communities, because I have been doing this for 4 years without any experience, but it's interesting on my experience. I spent the 5 years of my college school, 5 years, might have been 6. I worked for the largest franchisor of Howard Johnson's, McLean Enterprises, competitor of John Q. Hammond's, if you've seen any of the John Q. He's got a couple hotels in Minneapolis and another one in Des Moines. But I was the errand boy for all the executives. I ran their errands. And I married the marketing director of their enterprises. So I'm very familiar with, and I'm from Branson, so deriving the hotel motel stuff, even though I don't have experience in taking this job, I'm very familiar with branding, tourism, good, bad, and those type of things. And one of the things that I've been trying to figure out is how this hotel motel tax works and what's the right way of doing it and managing it. And every city, if you know, well know, Mason City had quite an interesting council group a couple of years back. And matter of fact, they split off from tourism. They split the tourism away from that. And it's kind of interesting that they put tourism out on a strip center, and all their downtown, their beautiful downtown, isn't tourism anymore. Because they're an independent board, not managed. Matter of fact, they tried to put them all back together. The Main Street kind of is an independent board. The Chamber's an independent board. The tourism, and they fight all the time about how to come together. That's the biggest thing in most of them. Clear Lake, they're together. Tourism, Chamber, work together, have a unified message. The parts that I've seen is other communities' hotel motel tax when it's city funded, and I have to tell you, I've sat through I don't know how many tourism meetings, because we attend 4 of them a year, and chamber meetings, which we try to attend at least 5 to 6 a year, and then we have Main Street meetings, which are mandatory 4 times a year, and everybody has the same problem. Do we get along? How do we promote our communities? How do we make the biggest bang for the buck? And how do we deal with city and county supervisors and councilmen? So as you talk about us, we get to talk about you guys. They brought back that the city funded, when it goes directly to the city, everyone ends up coming to beg. And every year you come in to beg for a grant. And we see that a little bit in what we do with the people who come in for the grants. And we've made some mistakes of saying, well, we keep giving the fair board the same amount of money every year. Why don't we give somebody else some money? My gosh, that's one of our biggest pulls. We did the same thing with the specialty shops, and I have to say, it wasn't one of our better moments is when we said, well, we probably should cut funding from specialty and fund other things. Those are 2 of our biggest draws. When you leave our community, our fair and our specialty shops are still a very, very big draw for outside. So city funded, people end up begging for money, which is never fun. But then the city uses the funds inappropriately. And I say not that we would do that, but because tourism is worded so much in the resolution, the city could use it for the swimming pools, could use it for planting trees, flowers, sidewalks, paving, because hey, how are people going to get up and down the street if you don't use it? And so cities in funding, and when they get into it, they start leaning toward using that money. Whoever put this together, and I think you can see the signatures of it, one of the things that we have is the city takes their 40% and we don't ask where it goes, and tourism takes its 60% and we don't ask where it goes, except we do. You all are elected officials, our boards are nominated, and we try to bring you up to speed every year on what's going on. If you have problems, we've tried to give you recaps and those type of things of what we did and how we're doing. So if you have questions about it, we'd rather do it on an annual basis than once every 10 years. The other thing is tourism boards. When you run the tourism boards, they seem to be independent from the city, want visitors and long-term strategies. And that's the other thing, is taking a long-term strategy and not worrying about funding next year. And that's one of the things by us having this setup. When it was put in place 10 years ago, and continues to use Franklin County, our written voter thing is the best in the state. The city benefits greatly by going into the general fund. You can use it for pavement, you can use it for sidewalks, whatever you want, and then tourism takes the other 60%, and that independent board decides what to do with it. So the recommendation we have from the tourism board is that you adopt the county's agreement and keep the hotel motel tax as is. We don't need the extra 2%. By law, we could go up to 7%, but we'd have to take it to the people. Any change to anything that we're doing has to go to the people unless we keep it the way it is. And the county took that into account when they wrote theirs. And also told me that a couple counties, down in Missouri, they have a saying, pigs get fat, hogs get slaughtered. They got hoggy and wanted to bump it to 7%, and the people took it out all the way. And that would hurt the city and hurt tourism. So I recommend that we keep it at 5%, keep the agreement the way it is, and adopt the county so we have more of a yearly review and not this wait till 10 years, till this agreement comes up and pretend like we're negotiating when really it's the people who are going to decide. That was my comments, maybe longer than I should have, sorry. Any questions for me, or?
I just want to say that I'm pleased to know that they use our county as an example of something great.
Yeah, it really is.
And I guess we can thank our predecessors for making those decisions.
It really is, and that is really cool, the way that the city, and it came from the city and the county adopted this. But it makes you proud when we're continuing to maintain it and an example to the whole state.
Very good. Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, Brooke. All right, is there any comment at this time? Questions? Dick, did you have anything?
Well, I think we've heard from two different people who work hard in tourism and chamber here about how working together is a benefit for everyone. We're getting times the money by having those kind of efforts working together. So I think that's very important and commendable to you guys.
Craig, did you want to add anything? I know many of the questions that were addressed.
I did, but I guess I'd really like to read more through the county's portion of it and see exactly what they've done. I do agree with what Brooke had said, that, and we mentioned it at the workshop too, there was probably some redundancy, would have been, and that's why they didn't pass some of the things like this. You would have been required to have 2 boards and stuff like that. But I guess if they're wanting to focus more so on the county's resolution, I think I'd like to read that and find out what's going on a little bit more in depth. I haven't really studied theirs because I was only concerned about the city's side of it.
Right. Okay.
I guess I just like to make a couple comments. Before I was on city council, I was on the tourism board, and I am a volunteer. And I think when I went on it originally, working up in Sheffield, I was almost more, I live in Hampton, but representing Sheffield and Warren Franklin County. And I continue to be on there. And I don't know if Brooke would agree with this or not. Sometimes I think I'm more of a pain on the board because I do really question and I'm really concerned about how they're spending the money because I am on council now. And I really think the whole Center One concept that's been here in Hampton and Franklin County for some time is just really great. And then how now the Chamber and the Main Street are working together in tourism. And Brooke, you are right, that branding is so important. And then the fact that we're all working together and we're not like fighting that we see back and forth, I think is just great. And I really think in the last couple of years, especially since you've been here, the tourism board and the tourism efforts have just really improved and is moving ahead. And so I guess I'm very happy with what's going on. Has it been perfect? No, because we've gone back and forth sometimes on philosophy. And so you do what you think is best at the time. And if my person, if I had my hindsight was 20/20, sure, maybe I wouldn't have done that. But you give it a try, and you do the best you can. And like I said, I think you've been doing a great job. The whole volunteer group, and Donna's too, is under your leadership of tourism, has been awesome. Yeah, go ahead.
I did notice that when you said that you might be kind of a pain, that Brooke's head was bobbing.
Alrighty then. Okay, is there a wish from the council to make a motion at this time, to take action at this time? I know Craig has indicated he'd like to absorb some more information.
Is there a reason that this has to be passed tonight? I mean, I don't see anything in the bylaws, we don't require anything.
We don't have, I don't have it on the agenda to approve a written agreement tonight, so you
No.
can't, so.
Well, and I would
It's not
certainly
for
think we have,
discussion.
if we're going to, consider the counties, we have to rewrite
Exactly.
basically what the agreement or the resolution, however, so I don't think we should do anything tonight.
No, I'm just offering that out there, so whatever you guys want to do. So, okay, we'll take no action. Thank you very much. Next on the agenda is approval of the claims as submitted by staff. Those claims tonight are in the amount of $148,159.75. Is there any questions on the claims? If not, I'd take a motion to approve the claims.
So moved to approve.
I have a motion by Diane, do I have a second?
Second.
Motion by Diane and a second by Val to approve the claims in the amount of $148,159.75. Any further discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Next on the agenda is a consideration of approval and adoption of the ordinance number 338, an ordinance amending Chapter 69 of Hampton Municipal Code of 2009 by adding additional section thereto providing area for limited parking. For reading from City Manager Dunn.
Thank you, Mayor. Does anybody on the council want me to reread this?
Yeah, this is again the second reading.
This is the second reading.
We can dispense with the reading.
Basically, these were the streets up in the 10th, 11th, up in the area of middle school.
That's correct.
Limiting parking for certain hours during the daytime.
On one side, yep, during the daytime.
Okay. All right, if there's not a request to read it, then we can entertain a motion.
I'd make a motion to approve the second reading of ordinance 338.
Okay. Got a motion by Dick to approve the second reading. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Motion by Dick and a second by Jim to approve the second reading of ordinance number 338. Any further discussion? Yeah, go ahead.
I was contacted by an individual today, again, Mayor, about it, that lives in that area. Had some questions, I answered them to the best that I could. He's not able to attend any of the meetings, but I did encourage him to get in touch with you, either through your mayor's listening post, or that he may contact you by email. So just be prepared that this guy will probably be contacting you about this.
Okay.
Didn't have a problem per se with the ordinance, just kind of wanted to know more details.
Sure.
Figured if you heard it from one source, it would be better.
Okay. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Anything else?
Has there been any input
No.
to City Hall at all?
No, none.
Okay. If there's nothing else, we'll go forward with the vote. Eckhart?
Aye.
Crowley?
Aye.
Lukensmeyer?
Aye.
Hogaback?
Aye.
Davies?
Aye.
Martin is absent, motion carries. Thank you. Next up is the consent agenda. And tonight that includes approval of previous minutes as drafted from Thursday, February 14th, 2013 regular session meeting. Schedule a special session for Monday, March 11th, 2013 at 6 p.m. at City Council chambers for public hearing and consideration of approval and adoption of fiscal year budget 2014. And schedule the next regular session for Thursday, March 14th, 2013 at 6 p.m. in City Council chambers. I take a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
I have a motion by Craig. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion by Craig and a second by Diane to approve the consent agenda. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Okay, staff reports. Fire Chief Kent Wilkinson is not with us tonight. Next is Police Chief Bob Schaefer.
Thank you, Mayor, City Council, and City Manager. Not a lot to report this time. Still continuing working on the nuisances. Basically, ask the public basically to kind of help and make sure that they got something out there that they take care of it. Also, I had Al Brandt, our officer, went down to recertification school for firearms instructor this week, and we've had a couple of, or actually one issue with both of the Explorers where the spot welds on the bottom hinge of the door have cracked, and we're basically need to be re-welded or spot welded or whatever. Not sure what's going on there. I posted that question on the chief's website to see if anybody else has had any issue with the same thing or what's going on. I'm not quite sure. Did contact Ford to find out if they had anything, and of course they hadn't had anything come to them. So, but other than that, don't have a whole lot.
Okay. Any questions for the chief?
Thank you.
Thanks, Bob. Up next, Public Works Director Doug Tarr.
Thank you, Mayor. Just briefly, we had a big snow event here recently, probably the biggest one of the year so far. Everything went fairly well, and the equipment's holding up pretty good, and second year in a row of kind of a mild winter, and we'll accept that. We don't want any more this year. Hopefully things will continue this spring like that, and we can keep moving forward. Anybody have any questions or concerns regarding my report tonight?
Have we had much as far as nuisance in the way of snow removal?
No, I've only received one complaint this year, and that was handled with nuisance snow removal. That one complaint kind of stemmed into about 3 different properties, I believe, that got done, and that was clear back in early part of the winter. And since then, I really haven't received any complaints here at City Hall, so it's gone pretty well.
Doug, I wanted to thank you. I brought up about a dumpster issue that has turned into me, and the people that brought it to my attention had noticed that it's already been removed. I want to tell you thank you for your quick action. Appreciate what you've done.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
City Manager Dunn.
Thank you, Mayor. I too serve on the tourism board as ex officio, and I just want to echo the compliments to the board. They do a great job. I mean, they are passionate, and Brooke does a good job too. They do a good job, and the pay isn't very good either. So. The Board of Adjustment approved a conditional use permit for the wastewater treatment plant project, as it's in an R1 zone, and so it was necessary to get a conditional use permit upon acquisition of the land. We're currently working with our attorney on the counteroffer to U.S. Cellular regarding the ground lease for a closed cell tower. Pretty close to putting together the final draft of the counteroffer. Anticipating putting that in U.S. Cellular's hands beginning of next week. So we're negotiating back and forth. The city car, what we call the city car, is like a 97 Crown Vic. Beautiful thing. That we take to meetings periodically, and it's been in rough shape for the past few months, and check engine lights have been coming on, and there's just a lot of issues with it, but I still enjoy driving it. It's kind of like a challenge. See if you can make it back. And the other day I did not make it back, so that's that's my story. They took it to, was heading to Des Moines Tuesday, and it was hitting pretty good snow, and I thought, I'm gonna turn around because the workshop I was going to was gonna be 4 hours in Des Moines, and anyway, so I turned around on the interstate north of Story City, and got off at the Boondocks to get a soda, and came out and the car wouldn't start, so I tried a few different things, and nothing worked, and so I had Doug come down and give me a ride back. Anyway, we brought the car back, the city guys brought it back on the trailer. It's pretty much history. So I don't think it's worth putting any more money into. We've put many things into it, and it's just time to put it to rest. So we're going to be looking at getting the radios. It's still got police radio in it, so we'll get that removed and get it ready to sell. So that's about all I have for tonight, unless anybody has any questions.
Are there any details that we should know or should know about the discussions that the two of you have been going to on the law, at the law enforcement center on 911?
There's an agreement that's being revised and drafted by city and county attorneys. There's the supervisors have gone into closed session when we've been in there, so outside of that, there's not a whole lot else I can say, I guess.
It's getting close to bringing a document in front of the council, though. So
yeah, and as soon as we have that, we'll bring it for a vote. Okay. So I'm hoping that at the either the March 11th or March 14th meeting, we'll have that. So that's what we'll say, I guess. So,
but I would appreciate your stance in pointing to the fact that it's the supervisor's responsibility to bring this forward. Thank you for doing that.
Well, one thing that I can say is we've fought very hard for the fact that Hampton citizens currently pay twice for dispatching services, and we fought very hard to remedy that situation. So that has been a point of contention. So, but I think what we're able to bring to the council, I think, will be agreeable to all parties. So.
Thanks.
All right, council reports. Val Hogback.
I'd just like to thank Chief Schaefer for all the legwork you did with the dog incident, and also nice job yesterday up at the high school. I appreciated that. So that's it.
Okay. Jim Davies.
Awesome dates to share. Tomorrow morning, 7:45 at the Hampton Country Club is the Chamber Quarterly Coffee. And then at 1 o'clock at Center 1, there's a legislative forum. Senator Amanda Reagan and Representative and House Majority Leader Linda Upmeyer will be there. I happen to be down in Des Moines on Tuesday and met with them also and talked a little bit about the property tax issue and so forth, but they will be here in town if any council or members of the public would like to attend. And then finally on March 9th at the Faith Baptist Church, Saturday is the Young Performing Artists. We're working with the Simon Estes Foundation, and that is a scholarship concert to raise money for Franklin County Arts Council scholarships that we give every year. So if you want some fantastic entertainment, come to the Faith Baptist Church on the 9th. It's, I think, a little better than a council meeting, so thank you. Deal with it.
Diane Crowley.
I just want to thank Kevin Frawley for taking the brush and trees out to his place to keep it out of the city's compost pile. I think that'll be a win for all of us, at least I hope it will be. Secondly, good luck to Deb Brown. She's going to be leaving the chamber and to take the head of the Chamber of Commerce in Webster City. Thank you.
Okay. Craig.
A couple of things. I told Doug about this earlier before the meeting started, that I did already get approached about potholes on First Street Northwest. I shared with him that the ground's still froze. You probably can't do a lot yet. We go through this every year, but that I would bring it to your attention, and you assured me that you'd already known about it, as I figured you would.
Alleys will be next.
Thank you. The last thing I have, Mayor, is I'd like to congratulate and wish the very best of luck to the West Fork Warhawks in their bid Monday night, their first game. So that's all I have.
We'll all be listening, I'm sure.
Oh yeah.
Don't go there. And if you do, listen on your phone or something. All right, Steve Harms is absent. Happy birthday. Dick Lubensmeyer.
Deb Brown, thank you for all your efforts here. Good luck in your position there. I'm sure that you can still call Brooke and get all the hot tips on how to handle the office staff, but you'll do a fine job.
Thank you.
Appreciate working with you. And another, Mira, you're leaving us also, going to Charles City to work. And I've appreciated working with you on the tree board and have seen your tireless efforts in the paper. Page after page has your signature on it, so you've done a lot for us in the community. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for thanking me.
Thanks, Dick. All right, for my report, in answering Dick's question, I pretty much covered what I had to say in my report. I will add, though, that I want to thank Doug for his quick response on the snow removal issue that we had. We had a complaint about a parking issue outside of a resident's house. Some employees of the business had been parked on the street outside of this residence and made it so that the snow couldn't be removed, and they had company coming. And there's been an ongoing back and forth between this business and this resident, and Doug took care of that promptly within about 5 minutes of the time I got the email, I think. So, but anyway, I know that resident appreciated that, so thank you very much. Also, thank you to Deb for your service, and to Mira for your service on the tree board and writing in the paper. The paper's going to be pretty empty next week.
Travis will do his best.
Oh, okay. All right, that's all I got.
And
I
Ed.
could take a motion to adjourn.
Move we adjourn.
Okay. Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. 7:04, we are adjourned.